Greetings, friends. I am Vitaly Portnikov. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky says that he would like to indeed see Donald Trump's peace plan and actually understand what real support the United States will provide to Ukraine if Trump wins the United States presidential election and whether there will be any support at all. Of course, it is definitely not only the president of Ukraine who wants to know about Donald Trump's real plans. Many European leaders would also like to understand whether Donald Trump truly wants to significantly restrict the United States' participation in NATO and reduce the role in European security that the United States has indeed played since World War II. But I have no doubt that Donald Trump does not actually have any clear plan to elaborate on his plans or any specific strategies. What he has is faith in his own abilities and capabilities to address the issues at hand. Donald Trump is absolutely confident that he can solve the very serious and complex current problems with international security, simply because, undoubtedly, the interests of the United States will be put first and foremost. And this priority will allow us to significantly solve all complex problems, to stop wars, to help Americans once again feel safe and secure and in harmonious, peaceful, and stable relationships, even with those countries that consider opposing the United States their national idea, primary goal, and fundamental objective. But this belief is not based on historical experience and indeed common sense. And like any other belief in politics, it can indeed be demonstrated to be false by the reality we will see in the world if Donald Trump actually emerges victorious in the United States presidential election. Donald Trump should seriously think about helping Ukraine, not just because this country is asking for such help from the United States, but because the preservation of international law is a priority for the policy of any civilized state. The United States, as a leading global power, has a responsibility to uphold these principles. And abandoning this priority makes any state that decides to no longer support this principle in any way or in any manner whatsoever uncivilized, and vulnerable to any attacks from countries that believe issues of international law, border issues, and their interests are resolved solely by force. If Ukraine fails to protect its sovereignty and security in its confrontation with Russia, difficult times indeed await not only Ukraine, but all of Europe, where radical sentiments will intensify. If the United States withdraws its security support in Europe, this will, in turn, lead to increased actions by countries like Russia and their attempts to influence the situation on the European continent. The place that one vacates is always taken by another. The United States helps European countries in various ways because both America and European democracies share common values and principles. But if these values are indeed absent, and Russia undoubtedly becomes the political hegemon of Europe, here is what we need to remember when we talk about possible developments. It is important. It is Russia, indeed, despite its economic weakness and significant dependence on the economies of the so-called Global South, that could potentially become the most important force in Europe and beyond if everything is decided not by economic power, but by tanks, shells, and the threat of a nuclear strike. But the weakening of Europe also means the weakening of America, undoubtedly. As World War II showed, at that time, American politicians indeed also did not want to get involved in European affairs. The main principle of the policy was isolationism. This led to a tragedy of global proportions. The United States, a nation with significant global influence and military power, still had to participate in the war in Europe, which was a major theater of conflict during World War II, but under completely different circumstances than if they had initially been prepared to actively engage in European affairs and confront radical regimes on the continent, such as Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. So, historical experience indeed exists, but Donald Trump completely ignores it precisely because he continues to replace actual, concrete plans with faith in his own abilities and capabilities, which is quite concerning. Even the experience of Donald Trump's first presidency and the fiasco of his attempts to negotiate with North Korea did not indeed become a serious lesson for the former American president. And they did not become a serious lesson for Donald Trump's voters and also his supporters. But those who vote for Donald Trump and help him return to the White House will indeed come to realize that their chosen candidate did not have any sort of plan. And faith could undoubtedly lead the United States to the most serious political crisis in the history, not only of this country itself, but also of the world that continues to very much hope in America. Thank you, friends. Please certainly subscribe to this channel and support it. Good luck.